I've had that song stuck on my in my mind. I've had that song stuck on my mind since the morning. I was cleaning this morning and it was playing in the background. It was one of the songs that was playing in the background. So I thought that I should title that this video with that song title. But let me push this back a little bit. Hi guys, welcome to today's live. My name is Welcome to today's live. My name is Dipuka Maleboge on this platform. My name is Barbs, actually on this platform, but Dipuka Maleboge is my name, and yeah, I prefer to be called Dipuka because Dipuka is more of a describes my personality better than Barbara does, if I'm being honest. So thank you so much for joining. I hope that it's not your first time joining or listening to me. I've been doing these lives every day now, and I have a lot of reflections on a daily basis. So these lives are just me sharing reflections that I have either of that specific day from that specific day or the previous day. This particular one is a reflection from yesterday. But that reflection um, this whole month. I've been talking the general theme of the videos that I've been doing the past few days. I've been talking about how um, God's plans, like He's the one who knows our plans. I've been talking about Jeremiah 29:11 quite a bit. It's like, do you know any other verse? I do, but Jeremiah 29:11 is a popular verse because it is so profound and it speaks to very many situations that we find ourselves in life where we become so frustrated, especially when you pass the age of 25. You become so frustrated. You're like, what is going on in my life? Am I going to be placed where it is that I would love to be placed? Am I going to finally be placed in a position where my talents, my skills, my interests are going to be utilized? That is why Jeremiah 29:11 is so popular, because once, like I said, once you pass the age of 25, thought that a few years ago it was past the age of 25. Now I think it's around uh, younger people nowadays. When they're younger, that's when they start to experience that thing of, I'm not doing enough. Um, why am I not as successful as my peers? I don't know. 20-year-olds are successful these days, so the pressure is hitting people at an age. So that is why Jeremiah 29:11 is so popular, because it's a verse that reminds you to take a step back and give the control back to God. Take a step back and be like, yo, I'm not in control. He is the one that's in control, and His plans are perfect. There's a not a saying, but there's something that people say often about how you can plan, but God decides, something like that. You plan, but God decides that how things are gonna work out in your life. And for me, there's so many things that have happened this year. I gave an example of one yesterday where um, I really thought that I was going to be doing A, B, C, and D. And one of the things that I found very, like, how can I say, that was quite frustrating for me is that there are so many things that I planned. There are quite a few things that I planned. There are quite a few things that I was so excited to do. But when I was in them, then I was like, okay, this thing is actually very overrated. This organization is very overrated. This, and it's happened to me quite a few times where I'm so excited to work on something or work with someone or work with an organization, then I realize actually I think the idea that we had in our heads of this place is completely from the reality of on the ground. So, and you get to a point where you're like, okay, God, like, I used to tell people that one of the things that um, one of the things that life has done to me is that don't get excited when I get a promotion or when a friend or somebody like when my friend says, okay, get promoted, I've been promoted. I'm like, oh, that's amazing, you're leveling up. But okay, I think not getting excited was the wrong choice of words, but I become more anxious and more like worried for them because promotions and like a promotion and there's the promotion in the company and the organization you work for, and then there's the promotion. God, I'm gonna say that thing that Sarah Jacobs often says, God, won't you help me say that better? Yeah, won't you help me? Yeah. There's a promotion in the organization you work for, and then there's a promotion outside you being promoted in another company. When a friend of mine sometimes tells me that she's been promoted outside, I sometimes get anxious because the way companies move these days, you may think you're being elevated or like your life's problems are about to end because you are now a big boss, but the problems that come with it are just always so insane. And I guess that's why they have that song that says more money, more problems. And yeah, so for me this year I've experienced quite a few instances where I was so excited to do certain things or to be certain places, and then I just end up finding that they're so overrated or like completely not what I expected in a negative way. And I think at first I have that first initial shock and that okay, this is very off-putting, this is very annoying, I'm quite frustrated. And then I begin to notice that I'm actually being prepared for something. I think one of the problems that we have as Christians is that when we're in a situation, not even as Christians, as people, when we're in a situation, we always just think that everybody else is the problem. But a lot of the times you find that, or some of the times that you find that something in you is being worked on. Um, Maybe you are too emotional and you're not objective instead of being too emotional about what's happening. It's one of my close friends likes to say that she knows how to like what's it called, switch to from how she's feeling at work, and then she goes home and then she leaves all of that at work. And I just find that so interesting because for me it's like when I'm at work and everything is happening and people are saying things that hurt my feelings or whatever, I carry that at home, I carry that on the drive home, I'm losing my mind, I'm like, why would they say that, why would they do that? Then I think one of the things that I've had to reckon with over the past few years is that bad things happen to good people. And that's one of the things that I want to, like, if you're listening to this right now, I want to remind you that it is very normal that bad things happen to good people. It is very unfortunate. It is very painful, but bad things happen to good people, and it's okay. Um, but yeah, I digress a little bit. Um, Yesterday, if you listened to my Uncle X interview on my YouTube, I put it up here, and I don't know if that part got caught on the live, but he was sharing a story of how um, earlier this year, for him to get fully into music, earlier this year, he at the university he was studying at, he had to leave because the school wasn't accredited. And he was saying that what happened was this was his third attempt at university at getting a degree, and like sort of when he told me, I had goosebumps. It was like this was my third attempt, and I was so frustrated that I was a little bit depressed, to be honest. And he said that at the beginning of this year, he had worked on the scores. I think they call it the scores of that his popular song Dipuka. He had worked on the, I don't know what it's called, but you know when you lay out the certain whatevers of the song, but not the lyrics, just the instrumental, whatever keys, whatever. And then he said he put it to the side. And then he said around the time that his situation with school happened, he then went back to the song and was like, you know what? I'm gonna finish the song and I'm gonna release it. Let me just do this. So he said that's what he did. He released the song, and that song just went pew, and his trajectory is just at this very moment, it's just like he's flying. He's getting there at like, it's very rare for like a new artist to gain as much popularity as he's gained, or that as he's amassed in the in the in so in like 2 3 months, 2 3 4 months. And that's why the message for today is about how, like, we plan but God decides, and it's important for us to trust what his plans are. In addition to that, I really like what people say sometimes about how you can't lose something if it was always yours. You know what I'm saying? Um, that I'm just gonna be dropping that or saying so many random things, but I hope that you can understand that they're connected. We plan, he decides. You can't lose something if it was always yours. And and sometimes you you just have a random thing in your head, and you don't know what that voice is. But if you follow it, you will find that actually I'm actually really good at this. And I didn't know why I decided to do this. I didn't know like this was the moment, but he led me to this moment, and now things are working out for me. So in the case of Uncle X, he says that music has always been something that he has worked on very passively, I'll say. Um, he taught himself how to produce, he taught himself how to make music. He has always been singing in church, and he decided after the whole school thing fell through that I'm going to just release. And then when he wrote the song, he was like, you know what? I have always wanted to. I've been so bad at Setswana over the past few years, but I think I used to be really good at Setswana, and it's unfortunate. Setswana is supposed to be like my mother tongue. English is not my mother. Setswana is supposed to be my mother tongue, and I want to do better and learn Setswana. So I think what I should do is that I should sing these songs in Setswana, both English and Setswana. And I really loved that, because in my country right now there's a huge gap or demand for artists who sing in Setswana. So Kore, all of these things just sort of came together in a way that it was just like the perfect little like pot, or perfect little, how can I say, recipe that enabled him to garner the success that he's currently experiencing. And I think it goes right back down to our saying what I was saying about how, sometimes, actually I forgot the one point in the 3 or 4 things that I'll say, is that sometimes you'll run away from what your calling actually is. Not even run away, but you'll be distracted by all of these things. Hey, I have to go to school. Hey, this is what they're saying that I have to do in order to succeed in life, so that's what I'm gonna do. But God will be like, okay, we'll just watch you from a safe distance. We'll just watch you and be like, okay, I see you trying the school thing. I'm giving an example. um, I see you trying the school thing, and then it will it's not and then it possibly probably doesn't work out, and then that's when he'll be like, hi, hello, I've been telling you for like how many years now that music is your calling. Music is what I called you to do. This thing that you've been trying, it's it's been slipping out of your hands because I've been trying to call your attention for so long to the fact that music is your actual calling. So that's just how, like, God blows my mind every time, because it's just like, you plan, he decides. He's the one who decides that, no, my daughter, I knew you before you were born, and these are the interests and whatever that I put into you. And because of the world, because of your flesh, because of mass media, they're going to convince you that you need this, you need this, you need this. But I know what I put into you, and I know who I want you to be. But also, as much as I'm saying that sometimes you run away from your calling or you get distracted by so many things, sometimes these things are not a distraction. Sometimes they are adding to the story. These give content basically. Like for me, for instance, my delay, I don't take all of this as a delay. I mean, it is quite unfortunate that um, how can I say that it may have taken me like many inconsistencies many inconsistencies to finally be consistent, but I think it adds it's how can I say that battle scars basically that then enable you to show up as a wiser version of yourself. I think wisdom comes from experience, and how else would one gain experience without falling off the bike a few times? You know what I'm saying? So, um, before I speak too much and not have anything to say tomorrow, I'm gonna end this live here by saying that um, God plans, you plan, God decides. It's okay if you've fallen off the bike quite a lot of times. Just listen to that inner voice or that outer voice, maybe from a destiny helper that is trying to remind you of this one of the talents that you may have abandoned. That talent could be what your calling is, and it could be what eventually or essentially sets you up for success. You could have abandoned it or completely forgotten about it, but um, if you just tap in, if you just sit down and really think about it and really decide and yeah, decide that this is something that I've always been good at. This is something that I feel like I'm being called to do. You should get up and do it and just follow through. Listen to the voice and actually follow through. Don't just hear the voice and be like, okay, well, yeah, that is it with this life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for staying thus far. Today's Sunday. I hope you had a blessed Sunday, and I hope you managed to go to church. If you didn't manage to go to church, I'm pretty sure that your church maybe has the sermon uploaded on various platforms. If they don't, there are other um, pastors that you can interact with here on YouTube. I think it's so important as people that we find pastors that resonate with us and that sort of get us interested in the word and in church and remind us how important it is to listen to the word and read the Bible. That is it from me before I become overly preachy. Thank you, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.